I'm going to need help.
I'll help you.
Fabiola.
Tell me what I have to do.
فرحة في يوم ما تتنسيش كان حلم جوه قلبي وكان أمل عليه بعيش فوق النجاة اللي هيبعدني عن حياة عنوانها خيبة الأمل فيها أحلام مليش جريت
Tikia yeye Allah ni nini maana yake? Ni ufuate maamrisho yake na uache makatazo yake. Isiwe unakula haramu, unafanya mabaya, unazini, unakunywa pombe, unafanya ghishi, unasengenya, unasema uongo, halafu unarudi au unaua, unafanya dhulma, unasema yeye Mwenyezi Mungu naomba kadha wa kadha wa kadha dua.
Ni mimi nakulipa.
Lakini swali
Hawezi kutorotize ni kufanya nini hiyo?
Mimi Mungu ungane na mimi tufanye tuchape huyo mzee ndio atoe 50,000 kwa nini?
Ndio nipoteze kazi kama wewe. Alikasirika na akaruka na boss.
So in that company who are you?
Mimi hakuna mtu hapo.
Thank you. Can you walk out?
wewe
50 ingetoka mungefanya aje? Tungekuwa mbele wewe. Anaona mheshimiwa. Unatandikwa mpaka mfupa ya mkongo inafunjika. Hiyo ndio ukweli wa mambo. Alipigwa na wafanyakazi.
Wewe ndio ulinichapa, si wafanyakazi.
I'm talking to you.
And I'm not interested.
Did you threaten Julian?
Well, I see someone is in love.
Joel doesn't want her out.
I am the one who is running J&J.
It is mandatory that we have a Njuguna in the company.
Mukasirika vibaya sana. Na usitake ona vile kunaweza kuwa.
Naelewa.
George ama Mama Paul wakiongea kuhusu Joel.
You're asking way too many questions, Nick. Are you worried? I have to resign.
What? Why? Is it because of Nick? Umeshindwa na wayuni. Nani atakuweza wewe?
Ngoja utaona.
Kwani ulikuwa serious eh?
Baba sisi unaniumiza, unanipeleka.
That's no way to treat a lady.
Stay out of this, unasikia?
Inspires me a lot to do what I'm capable of and what I can do the most, and everything that I can be able to do, I can do.
If they thought I thought, they thought I had been, they thought I thought. If they thought I thought, they thought I'd been, they thought I thought.
So today I'm going to show you guys on how to make the yummiest chocolate cupcakes that you guys can try out at home. And from your lips you drew the hallelujah, hallelujah.
Polio is something that perhaps those who are younger have no immediate experience of. But in the past, it afflicted many children who are not able to go to school, to live normal lives, to have equal opportunities to do the things that they desire.
We had to blindfold one of my guides. It was overwhelming. It took me back. Her experience took me back to when I lost my sight.
Currently, Simon works in a dental hospital owned by Dr. Nyuki, who has described him as keen and excellent in his work.
We're differently abled.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia ufugaji wa ng'ombe wa maziwa, kisha tujadili lishe kwa mifugo.
Tunaweza tukasema ya kwamba hata katika vyakula vyetu ambavyo tunavitumia nyumbani, uwezi ukatumia ugali peke yake. At least ni vizuri utachanganya na vitu zingine ndio hiyo ugali ikaweze kuteremka. So hata katika mimea ama mifugo zetu ni vizuri uweze kuzichanganyia nayo iweze kupata hiyo ladha ya vyakula.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
You and her can be Baba Jane's wives.
Sharing is caring.
Karibu chai iko tayari.
But your mom needs help.
Enda. Ukiachwa kitu yoyote hawezi deal nayo.
Mbona uko kwa bwana wako?
Huku ni kwetu.
I've
never killed anyone before.
If Mom is not happy, I can't be, yeah? Could you please come over?
Mark is trouble.
Yani utaki niingia hata kwako.
Mixing business with personal matters. Baba Jane. I love you so much, Kristen.
Are you too serious about this marriage business?
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu kuanzia saa 1 hadi saa 2 asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
Everybody makes their bed and such. Kila mtu analia kitanda ametandika.
Kilanzi, not all of us make our beds. Me, I don't.
I am with you, Kamene. Guys, you shouldn't even sleep on the same bed sheets twice. Meso, hey. Missy, how many bases do you have? About 12.
You for one bed?
Of course, but the trick is they all have different materials and texture.
Isn't that where you slept last night? What is so mysterious about that?
Hey, Fal, if you didn't sleep well, all the work.
Hey, once if you do not have a duvet or a pet, pole sana.
Je, una habari ambao ungependa kuwasilisha kupitia KBC? Wasiliana nasi upesi kupitia barua pepe ya news@kbc.co.ke au piga simu kwa nambari 0723982654 au 0734780124.
This is Lunchtime News. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Jackie Wambiru, and we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up this afternoon. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. Welcome to the broadcast. And now to kick us off, we shall be crossing over to Laikipia County in Nyuki, where President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua are holding a cabinet retreat at the Fairmont Mount Kenya Safari Club, where the retreat seeks to review and evaluate the performance of the Kenya Kwanza administration and spell out thematic areas of focus in relation to its campaign pledges. The meeting's agenda, among other things, seeks to find a solution to bring down the high cost of living. It's also expected to focus on the government's economic transformation plan based on priorities such as food security and job creation. Our reporter John Jacob Courier is manning the ground and has a detailed report. Courier, kindly bring us to speed.
Thank you very much, Jackie Wambiru, back at Broadcasting House. Like you pointed out, we are at the presidential cabinet retreat that is being held in Laikipia County, Nyuki, to be specific. And the president is bringing together his members of a cabinet as well as principal secretaries and senior government officials to really talk about the government agenda for the next 1 year, and that is the year 2023. So the gathering here really is about government business and what interventions need to be done by the government of a republic to ensure that indeed the government is able to, one, bring down the cost of living, but indeed also deliver services that are of priority to Kenyans. And you know, the president spoke at length yesterday during his interview, the joint media interview with 6 media houses in Kenya, and talking about his priority, particularly when it comes to lowering the cost of living and ensuring that he elucidates his vision for the country in the next 1 year, particularly when it comes to lowering the cost of electricity, lowering the cost of unga, ensuring that there is priority when it comes to mega projects, including the construction of dams, as well as ensuring that there is what you would say a number of acreages in the country that will be under irrigation, that being part of his food security agenda. And therefore the lineup here is obviously about that agenda. And for the next 3 or 4 days is that each ministry will outline its priority for the year 2023. The outlining of a priority, if it is the Ministry of Treasury, what it's going to do to bring down the cost of living, again deal with the public debt. If it is the Ministry of Transport, the priority areas when it comes to opening up the country in terms of infrastructure, and so on and so forth for each ministry. And of course you will know that the Ministry of Treasury, the Ministry of ICT, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Road and Agriculture as well, and the Ministry of Water are critical cogs in driving these aspects that the President has said are his priorities in the year 2023 because of easing the burden that lies on the shoulders of Kenyans in this year, obviously as they're confronted by the high cost of living. Of course, the President is yet to arrive and the Deputy President, but the tent behind me there is holding Cabinet Secretaries, and of course, and you can see behind me is the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture exiting from that tent there. That's where the Cabinet Secretaries and the Principal Secretaries are meeting, but also the Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is also in the tent. So anytime from now, and we're looking at about an hour or so, the arrival of the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, as well as his Deputy Rigathi Gachagua. There will be the chairs of the sessions moving, from tomorrow towards the end of this congregation. And this meeting does not only bring Cabinet Secretaries and their Principal Secretaries together. It also brings senior government officials in the sense of even leaders in critical departments, and that was revealed also yesterday as the President did the interview. For example, I've seen Chief Justice Emeritus David Kinani Maraga, who you remember is leading the task force that will be looking into the salaries and remuneration of police officers. He's also among the officers who are in here, generally to just look at the priority of government in the year 2023, and that will be the discussion. The discussion begins today. It goes all the way up until Sunday. When it concludes, of course, after tomorrow or from tomorrow, being chaired by the President and his deputy. And we'll be here, obviously, monitoring the situation. And again, we'll be informing our viewers in our subsequent bulletins of what is transpiring in Nyuki, of course, as we await the arrival of President Dr. William Samoei Ruto and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua. For now, let me hand you back to Jackie Wambiru for the rest of a bulletin. I'm sure there are by-elections in Kandara, Elgeyo-Marakwet, as well as Garissa Township, and we have our reporters there who obviously have a thing or two to tell us about the exercise so far. Back to you, Jackie.
Well, thank you so much, John Jacob Kira there from Nyuki with a detailed report of the 4-day retreat that brings together cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries and heads of various government agencies, among others. We shall be keeping you updated on that report. For now, we cross over to Kandara in Murang'a County, where polling centers opened at 6 a.m. Thursday for voters in Kandara to elect a new member of parliament. Remember, this is to replace Alice Wahome, who is now heading the water docket. And our reporter Sarafina Robi is currently on the ground with more details. Sarafina, kindly bring us to speed on perhaps the voter turnout and how the process has been so far.
Indeed, a very good afternoon, Jackie. We're coming to you live from Garissa Primary Polling Station in Kandara constituency, Murang'a County, where a by-election is being held for the position of Member of National Assembly to replace the former immediate Member of Parliament, Alice Wahome, who was appointed to be the CS Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. And so far, there are 8 contenders for this position. We are at Garissa Primary Polling Station, whereby the voting process is going on. And we've been able to catch up with this Murang'a Senator John Nyuki, who is going to just tell us how the process is being carried out throughout this particular constituency. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. The process is going well, and the people of Kandara are coming out to vote, though the turnout is low at the moment. But already it has been, we are going to 30%. And so we believe that by late afternoon, when they'll have finished attending their shambas and their animals, they'll come out in large numbers. And we expect to clock at least 50%, because you know that by elections, of course, are known historically, turnouts are always poor. But we are going on well, save for some incidents in the morning of people that were reported to have been dishing out cash to people from one of the candidates. Of course, not the UDA candidate, another candidate. Yes.
What particular places were this?
This was Gaichanjiro, generally that ward. I mean, those that were doing that, according to the reports that we received, were moving from one polling station to the other. But that is something that we were able to arrest in the morning, and voting now is going on smoothly. And we believe that at the end of the day, the will of the people of Kandara will be expressed and seen by everybody.
With the low voter turnout, what's your call to the people of Kandara constituency?
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to call out on people of Kandara, voters of Kandara, that they cannot afford to squander the opportunity to elect a leader of their choice. And so we are calling upon them, telling them, we know that you went to your shambas and you are tending to your animals, but please now spare some time. Come, go to your polling station and cast your vote. That is our major appeal to the people of Kandara.
Thank you very much. Well, that is the Murang'a Senator John Nyuki, just making a clarion call to the voters, registered voters of Kandara constituency to show up and vote, given that there is a low voter turnout. Joining me right now is the Secretary General UDA, Veronica Maina, to just tell us how she has seen the process to be going on.
The process has been going on very smoothly right now, and I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the Kandara people for taking the opportunity to walk into the polling stations and to exercise their constitutional right to vote for their next leader of a member of National Assembly. You know how this seat came about. It came about because Kandara was blessed with a minister for water, that is Honorable Alice Wahome, and we know that the Kandara people, you come out and vote in large numbers, and we are appealing to you, though we know you are busy and you have other engagements, that you take some time to come out and vote so that we can be able to tell between the contestants who eventually will become the leader of Kandara constituency. Of course, you know the UDA has a candidate here called Chege Jogona, and we also have candidates in Garissa constituency. We have a candidate in Elgeyo-Marakwet senatorial race. We have a candidate in Shedla ward. And we know all these by-elections, UDA will emerge strong. And we are looking forward to a successful day today. And wishing all the candidates the very best of the race. And for the people, we are grateful that you have maintained peace. And this continues to help our nation, our constituencies, and our counties to continue sending a positive message that people can change, can transition leaders from one to another without having to fight or without having to do insults, without having to dishonor or to disrespect any candidate who is participating in the race. All are Kenyans and we need to maintain respect for all the candidates. So let's tuweke siasa ya heshima, tupige uchaguzi kwa amani na tuseme the best candidate will emerge the winner at the end of the day. Thank you.
And what do you make of the low voter turnout, especially here at Kandara?
You know, Kandara is a stronghold of the UDA, and we are completely very grateful because when you look at the UDA party, it's made up of strongholds like Kandara, Murang'a County. Elgeyo-Marakwet is a stronghold of the UDA. But when you come to the by-election, sometimes people drag their feet a bit because, you know, even the campaigning in a by-election is not as heightened as a general election because when the campaign is being done, it's only being done in that isolated constituency or isolated county. So research has shown and studies have shown and figures have shown that by-election sometimes can experience very low voter turnout. But when the candidates are very, very competitive, you still find people manage to come even up to 50%, even slightly above 50%. Right now in Kandara, I think we are at around 25-26%. I know by afternoon we might get another 20-25%, so we might even hit 50%. And I hope Kandara will make a mark, because these voters are very good voters and they have great understanding, and the candidates have schooled them a lot. The IBC has spoken to them. We have held very many media interviews, so I know they will turn up and exercise their right to vote. Ndio mtu asiamke kesho aseme hata afadhali ningeenda kupiga kura jana. Sasa huyo ni nani ameshinda? We amka, uende kwa station, upige kura, ndio uone yule unataka, kiongozi unataka, huyo ndio ameibuka mshindi. Kwa hivyo jioni tutaonana kwa Tallying Center, tuone mshindi ni nani. Asante sana.
Okay, that is the UDS Secretary General Veronica Maina, just giving us an overview of how the voting process has been carried out in different places where the by-election is being held, here in Kandara, as well as in Garissa, Elgeyo-Marakwet, as well as a ward in Lamu County, whereby here at the Kandara constituency we have about 93 polling stations, which we have been traversing since morning and will continue to traverse up to evening, when this will be collated at the Tallying Center, the main Tallying Center, where we will be at, to get to know how the voter turnout, the main or the general percentage of the voter turnout, and also to get to know the results as they will be streaming in. Back to you, Jackie.
Well, that is our reporter Sarafina Robi reporting from Kandara, where voters are being urged to exercise their right and come out and vote, as well as a low voter turnout is being recorded. Well, we shall be keeping you updated. For now, we shall take a short break. Once we come back, we shall be heading over to Elgeyo-Marakwet, where the senatorial by-election is also being held. And for now, let's take that break.
Dereva, kutumia simu wakati uko barabarani ni hatari kwako, abiria wako na kwa wengine wote walio barabarani. Wengi wamepoteza maisha yao au kujeruhiwa baada ya kuhusika katika ajali zilizosababishwa na madereva wanaotumia simu. Usiwe mmoja wao. Usalama barabarani unaanza na wewe. Ujumbe huu unaletwa kwako na Kenya National Highways Authority. Quality Highways, better connections. Welcome back. And voting across 544 polling stations in Elgeyo-Marakwet kicked off early morning. The senatorial by-election has attracted 6 candidates after former Senator Kipchumba Murkomen was appointed Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary. And we shall be crossing over to Elgeyo-Marakwet, where our reporter Ben Chumba is on the ground and will give us a detailed report of how the process has been so far, and as well as the voter turnout. Chumba, kindly bring us to speed.
I'm coming to you live from E10 Primary School here in Elgeyo-Marakwet, where the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, is conducting a by-election for the senatorial seat. Of course, this coming a few months after Senator Kipchumba Murkomen was appointed by the President to the Cabinet. And voting exercise in Elgeyo-Marakwet kicked off in the morning at around 6 a.m. But what has raised a lot of concern here is the low voter turnout. In a county of about 214,000 registered voters, by noon, the number of people who had turned up to register to cast their vote is very alarming. In fact, I'm being joined by Mark Kiplangat, who is the presiding officer here at the 10 Primary School. Good afternoon, sir. Can you please maybe tell us how is the exercise so far?
So far we are doing fine. The exercise has kicked on well since morning at 6, and we've been doing reporting of photo turnout at 9, 11, and right now we have done at 1. The exercise has gone on well, and despite the fact that there is low photo turnout at the moment.
For instance, in your polling station, how many streams do you have, and approximately by noon, how much can you approximate in terms of voter turnout?
Thank you so much. In my polling station here, we have 4 streams, stream 1 up to stream 4. In stream 4, where I reside, however, we have 13%. In the morning, we had 2% at 9. At 11, we had 7. Right now, we have 13. That is approximate an increase of about 5% after every 2 hours.
What kind of challenges are you facing, and what are you doing to address those challenges?
At the moment, we don't have any challenges which has arisen, and we thank God for that. The problem is just that the voters are coming slowly, and we expected that by 11 we should be doing 50%, but I think in the afternoon we shall have a huge turnout, having in mind that in the morning it was a bit chilly, and maybe that could be the reason why people did not turn up in numbers.
Apart from that, as an official of IEBC, what do you think will have contributed to the low voter turnout?
Of course, I am not supposed to speak on behalf of IEBC. My returning officer is in charge of that. But I want to believe maybe perhaps this is a season where people are in jobs. Those who are in Mombasa, others are in Nairobi, and traveling back home could be one of the reasons why. That those who are supposed to be with us here might be back in their jobs. And then number 2 is because of jobs, which is back in the villages. And I would want to believe that in the afternoon we might have a surge in the percentage.
Thank you very much for your time. That is Mark Kiplangat, who is the presiding officer here at the 10 Primary School, which is just one among the 554 polling stations in Elgeyo-Marakwet. It is important to note that this polling station has about 4 streams, and each stream has about registered voters of around 700. And what is alarming is that by noon, barely 50 registered voters turned up to cast their vote. It is also important to note that the Elgeyo-Marakwet senatorial seat has attracted about 6 candidates, and the competition has narrowed down to 2 candidates, that is William Kisang of UDA and Tim Kipchumba, who is vying on PPD. Remember, people here are saying it is a 2-horse race. Others are saying it is just the UDA nomination rematch, because the 2 candidates squared it out during the UDA nominations that were conducted a few months ago, and the difference in terms of votes between the 2 candidates were 1,300 votes. Tim Kipchumba became second during the nomination exercise, which he claimed was not free and fair, and he then opted to get another party to sponsor him in today's election, and therefore is being fronted by PPD. It is also important to note that some people here are saying that this is a do-or-die race for the UDA candidate, because it was just last year that he lost his parliamentary seat to an independent candidate. And even after getting the UDA ticket for the senatorial seat, he's also facing stiff competition from Timothy Kipchumba, who is vying on PPD ticket. Therefore, that is what we have as at the moment, but we will keep our viewers updated in our subsequent news bulletin. Back to you, Wambiru.
Well, that was our reporter Ben Chumba with an update of how the process is going so far in Elgeyo-Marakwet senatorial by-election. We shall be keeping you updated as we progress. For now, President William Ruto now says his proposal to establish the office of the Leader of Opposition is not a job offer for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga. In a one-on-one interview with journalists, the first time since he became the head of state, President Ruto said the office of Leader of Opposition will be a public entity mandated to oversight the government.
In an engagement with journalists from mainstream media organizations at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto sought to clarify on his proposal on creation of Office of Leader of the Opposition. The president dismissing claims he borrowed the idea from the Building Bridges initiative, which he opposed during his tenure as a deputy president.
BBI ilikuwa ni ukora mtupu. Hakukuwa na mapendekezo yoyote hapo. Unajua wale jamaa wa BBI waliweka ukora mwingi alafu wakaweka sukari juu.
The proposal by the executive has attracted negative reaction from the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party. President Ruto, however, clarified the proposed office of Leader of the Opposition is an institution to maintain checks and balances on the government.
Mimi simtafuti mtu kazi. Nimeona kiongozi wa upinzani akisema yeye hataki hiyo kazi. Nani alikuwa anampatia kazi? Mimi sitafuti mtu yeyote kazi. Natafuta ofisi ya mambo ya kuhakikisha kwamba accountability ya serikali. Kama ningekuwa mtu selfish, mimi niko na haja gani na mtu ya kunipinga? Lakini mimi naelewa ya kwamba katika demokrasia hii power, watu kukorogwa na power ni rahisi. Kuna sababu ya kuwa na upinzani. Nikisema ofisi ya kiongozi wa upinzani, it is an institution. It is not a person. Mimi natafuta accountability. Ile uwajibikaji ndio mimi nashughulika nayo.
The head of state at the same time reminded Parliament to fast-track review of the standing orders to allow cabinet secretaries to appear before the House to account for their deeds.
Hata pale bunge tubadilishe standing orders ndio mawaziri waweze kwenda bunge wa prosecute mambo ya serikali, ndio wananchi waelewe kutoka waziri mwenyewe saa ile anaulizwa maswali mpango ya serikali kuhusu mambo ya kilimo, unga, nini inafanyika namna gani, ajibu pale akiwa bunge.
President Ruto also committed to ensure the 2/3 gender constitution requirement in the August House is resolved through a parliamentary review of the constitution. The president has proposed to Parliament a formula to guide the computation of gender ratio in Parliament based on numbers of members elected. Gishoki Washira, Lunchtime News.
On education matters, President William Ruto has affirmed that junior secondary will be domiciled in primary schools. President Ruto, while engaging media in an interview at State House, Nairobi, said the decision was made after the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform engaged parents on the way forward as far as competency-based curriculum implementation was concerned. The head of state said to facilitate the transition and bridge the teacher shortage, the government will recruit an additional 30,000 teachers this year.
President William Ruto says the government is working to ensure a smooth transition for grade 6 learners to junior secondary school, noting that all primary schools will have equipped laboratories and those sharing a compound with secondary schools using the existing labs. The president noting that after consultations with parents, the government decided junior secondary is domiciled in primary schools.
Wazazi wengi wakati tulifanya utafiti na wazazi karibu 20,000, 86% walisema wanataka watoto wao waende mahali karibu. Hawataki gharama ipande. Ndio wakasema ile junior secondary iwekwe katika mahali karibu pale kwa primary school, tutaongezea laboratory ama na darasa moja, na hiyo mpango tayari because there is already an extra class. Ile ambayo tutafanya ni kuhakikisha kwamba kuna mwalimu ambaye atasaidia hiyo transition na kuna facilities ambazo zitasaidia hiyo transition. Na tayari tumekamilisha mipango yetu kama serikali kuhakikisha kwamba mpango huo unaendelea.
The head of state confirmed the government will recruit an additional 30,000 teachers this year and other 30,000 in 2024 to bridge the teacher shortage.
Tunataka hiyo transition isiwe na matatizo. Na tunaajiri walimu wengi ambao tayari wamehitimu na vile vile wamefanya course ya CBC. Ndio watusaidie katika kuendesha hiyo mpango. Na pia
further, the president said that his government is working towards creating a merger between TVET Funding Board, University Funding Board, and Higher Education Loans Board, saying there is a need for education system to be grounded on sound economics. 1.27 million students are expected to join junior secondary this year, while 1.24 million students in Class 8 under the 844 education system will join Form 1. On health matters, the president said his government is working to realign the sector by ensuring all the government services are digitized. He said he has established a new National Insurance Health Fund board that will help sort the challenges facing the fund so as to ensure that Kenyans access universal health coverage with ease.
Nafanya mabadiliko kwenye National Hospital Insurance Fund kwa sababu pale sitaki kusema sana. Kuna changamoto kubwa. So nimetengeneza board mpya. Nimerekebisha mambo ya wizara na nimealign vizuri. Pale KEMSA lazima tuifanyie kazi kubwa kuhakikisha kwamba ile kazi yote itaendelea pale. Tunatumia teknolojia kusort out ile challenges ya cartels.
He said he's working closely with governors to sort health sector challenges facing counties by releasing funds on time to counties, even as he called on the county governments to do their bit.
Nilipata nafasi ya kuongea na kupata faraga na mwenyekiti wa mambo ya afya wa Makonazo, especially mambo ya CBA, mambo ya ajira, mambo ya mishahara, ndio tusiwe na changamoto ya wafanyikazi wa counties wa mambo ya afya kwenda katika strike all the time. So tushakubaliana mpango. Yale mambo ambayo wametuitisha kama national government nimekubali ya kwamba tutaifanya.
Beatrice Gatunyangetich, Lunchtime News.
A family in Ruiru, Kiambu County is seeking justice after their 24-year-old son drowned in a hotel swimming pool. Brian King Kimani passed away on December 26th last year as he was celebrating with his sister and friends at Destiny Park Gardens located along Ruiru Kiambu Road. According to the distressed family, Brian entered the swimming pool in the evening and appeared to be having a good time, but moments later there was no movement. They claim lifeguards were contacted, but they did not respond. Njuguna Ngugi, the hotel's proprietor, exonerated his staff of blame, saying the deceased entered the swimming pool past operating hours while intoxicated.
It's so sad to say ati from saa 9 venye aliingia kwa maji, brother yangu alipatikana saa 3 na dakika 20 usiku, ndio alikuwa anatolewa na divers after begging them, after telling them like more than 10 times waniangalilie na hawakushughulika.
The OCS came and upon before we could arrive, of course we had our guards at the lifeguards had arrived. Unfortunately on that particular day, because it was already night, we didn't have electricity. As from 6:30 we didn't have electricity, and by the time now we made arrangements to confirm whether it was true, whether the sister was alleging that the brother had entered into the pool. It was already now going to 8. Of course, the divers went in and they confirmed that they retrieved the body.
Now, in other news, we cross over to Garissa, where 103 polling stations opened Thursday for voters in Garissa Township to vote. And remember, this comes after former Garissa Township Member of Parliament Aden Duale was appointed to Cabinet as Defence Cabinet Secretary. We shall now be linking up with our reporter Yusuf Farah for more details of how the process has been so far, as well as an update of the voter turnout so far. Farah, kindly bring us to speed.
Well, indeed, a very good afternoon to you back there at the broadcasting house, Jackie Wambiru. Indeed, we are coming to you live from the Kenya National Library's polling center, one of the polling stations here in Garissa Township. And just to bring our viewers up to speed about the voter exercise here, to be precise, the registered voters for the Garissa Township constituency are 54,000. And the polling stations are 103. So under the register, the candidates that have been cleared by IBC are 7. Deko Mohammed, who is running under the UDA ticket, and Nasir Chofle, UDM party, Faisal Amin of ODM, Ibrahim Malo of NAK Kenya, Abdikarim Osman of Democratic Party, Muhyiddin Abdul Rashid of DAP, and Muhyiddin Abdul Rashid of DAP. Now, the voter turnout exercise from the various polling stations that we visited today, the Garissa Primary Polling Station, the Garissa Secondary, the NEP Girls, where Muhammad Deko, the UDA candidate, casted his vote, the turnout was low. Like from 6 a.m. when the polling stations had been opened, the turnout was low, but then the number started accumulating little by little as the day went by. Now, here earlier on, Cabinet Secretary for Defence Aden Duale came here and casted his vote, and after casting his vote, he called on the residents to turn up and cast their votes, turn up in large numbers to select the Member of Parliament of choice. But even then, Duale expressed confidence that his candidate, the UDA candidate rather, would go on to win this election. So that's the update we have for you right now. The voter exercise is still ongoing. Of course, after this, Wambiru, we will be going to the main tallying center, which is at the Garissa University, to bring the updates to our viewers. So we'll bring the updates then from the main tallying center, and we'll be standby to bring every update until the time the successor for the Garissa Township Member of Parliament seat will be announced. Back to you in studio, Wambiru.
Well, thank you so much, Yusuf Farah, with an update from Garissa Township, where the Member of Parliament by-election is currently underway, where low voter turnout is being recorded, with voters being urged to come out and exercise their voting right. We shall be keeping you updated. For now, we move on. The National Environment Management Authority has warned residents of Marsabit County against the use of single-use plastic bags despite its ban by the government. This comes in the wake of numerous livestock deaths being reported in the region for allegedly ingesting plastic bags that have become rampant.
Herders like Mzee Golo Wario from Bubisa location in North Horr sub-county are now a worried lot over the danger posed by the plastic bags as the drought continues to ravage the region that has contributed to the depletion of pasture. Their fear has been compounded by the fact that livestock has now resorted to feeding on cartons, peppers and plastic bags, which have consequently led to their deaths.
Mimi naomba wafadhili, serikali na project yote watusaidie na chakula ya binadamu na ya wanyama. Wanyama kwanza iko hali ile mbaya kabisa hata kuliko binadamu. Binadamu naanza kupata msaada kidogo ya chakula, lakini wanyama hakuna msaada hata kidogo wamepata.
Marsabit Nema County Director Vincent Olo noted that single-use plastic bags by the residents in Marsabit town is still rampant.
These would cause serious discomfort, and if you visit most of our slaughterhouses, you realize that the stomach contents would include the plastic bags, the single-use plastic bags that are thrown all over.
Olo issued a stern warning to the business community in the county over the continued use of the banned single-use plastic bags.
We are also issuing a stern warning to users of single plastic bags. Mostly, I know the users are green grocers, mama mbogas, butchers, and some few supermarkets and shops.
On his part, Marsabit County Environmental Committee member John Wako warned criminals impersonating NEMA officials defrauding business people using plastic paper bags that legal action will be taken if caught.
Kuna shida, kuna watapeli. Kukuyu mambo ya pesa ambayo nilikuwa nasema. Unaona mtu amekukamata, amekuja na logo ya NEMA. Mwingine kama amepokonya askari vitu zamani, pengine ni mkorofi mahali, amekuja na walkie-talkie ile askari. Kuwe na barua ambayo imetoka kwa NEMA. Na yule ofisa fulani ambaye ametumwa au ameandamana na mtu wa NEMA ya Marsabit.
Opicho Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
The government has suspended further subdivision and activities at the disputed Kibiko land situated in Ngong, Kajiado County. According to Kajiado West Deputy County Commissioner Moranga Morekwa, the move was informed by the tension that has marred the prime communal land after it was allegedly subdivided by a section of trustees who colluded with powerful government officials.
Speaking during a crisis meeting held at Kiserian, the Kajiado West Deputy County Commissioner termed the land standoff as a major security threat, which the government has taken it as a matter of urgency. Moranga, who doubles as the chairperson of Kajiado West Lands Board, said that the subdivision was illegal as it had not been approved by the board. He urged locals to maintain calm, even as he pledged to intensify security in the area to avoid bloody incidences.
Muntu asiende kukata hiyo shamba. Muntu hana ruhusa kuenda kukata mpaka hii mgogoro yote hii. Tuchue members ni wanga. Tuchue kama wamekubali shamba ika. Tukubaliane kama consent ya kukata shamba imepea. Tuchue.
Tens of women had trekked over 20 kilometers to seek the administrator audience in what they termed as threat by unknown people over the controversial community land. Agitated women took to the streets in Ngong and Kiserian town in a peaceful protest calling on government agencies to intervene on the thorny land issue.
Sai tumechanganyikiwa, hatujui sisi tunaishi maisha gani. Na tunataka sai kuita serikali ilete macho yake yote usupuko ili sisi tukae hata bila kuhofia na tukae tukijua hatuna wasiwasi ya shamba yetu kuchukuliwa.
Now let's talk business. President William Ruto has promised Kenyans that he will make the Galana Kulalo irrigation project work. The project stalled in 2019 owing to the alleged misappropriation of funds. The head of state, who was speaking last night at State House in a roundtable media interview, said through the project the country will be able to produce adequate food that will make the country food secure.
The Galana Kulalo irrigation project was said to be the biggest in East and Southern Africa and a major milestone for Kenya in attaining food security. It was projected to cultivate 200,000 acres of the Galana Kulalo complex to meet 41% of the country's annual maize consumption of 48 million bags in order to cushion farmers against an oversupply of maize that could hurt their earnings. Maize at Galana was set to be grown for one season annually. However, the ambitious government project stalled in 2019 owing to the alleged misappropriation of funds. President William Ruto last night promised to make the project work by being able to cultivate sufficient maize to achieve food security.
Mimi nataka niwahakikishie wa Kenya, ile Galana ndani ya miezi miwili mitatu nitaanza kujenga damu pale Galana, na tayari kuanzia hii Februari zile ekari 10,000 ambazo tayari tulikuwa tumeifanya kama model farm 10,000 acres na iko mpaka na pivot, hapo tutaanza kuzalisha chakula mwaka huu.
State House had earlier issued a statement saying the government will construct a dam to help with the irrigation of more land, with the construction set to commence in April.
Na nitaongezea ekari zingine 10,000 kufikia mwezi wa 6-8 hapo, kwa sababu ile maji iko pale inatosha ekari 20,000. Alafu baada ya hiyo, hii dam mimi najenga beginning the next 90 days. Kwa mwaka moja na nusu ikiwa tayari, tutaweka between 300 and 400,000 acres kuzalisha chakula pale Galana.
Meanwhile, the president said the cost of living will go down once the country produces enough food that can enable it to sustain itself. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
President William Ruto has defended his Hustler Fund initiative from critics, noting that he is ready to take full responsibility in case the venture fails. The head of state backed up his plan, noting that it was fully dependent on technology and headed by a consortium of legal experts to ensure that it runs smoothly. He further added that phase 2 is set to be rolled out next month with the aim of lending to SACCOs and other such investments.
We are going to use the benefit of technology to run this fund. And that is why this fund is successful. We have a board, that originally was part of KNEST, which is now the board we are adopting to run the Hustler Fund. And the Secretariat is actually a consortium that we established between the government and our national mobile operators. And we have a complete secretariat, including even a call center that makes sure that citizens can deal with it.
The Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KENGEN, has announced a renewed plan to scale up the deployment of renewable energy in the country by adding an additional 3,000 megawatts. In a statement, the company says the new campaign will be driven largely by deploying up to 2,000 megawatts drawn from geothermal and hydro sources as baseload power to stabilize the country's energy sources.
KENGEN says it has rolled out a 10-year strategy that seeks to add 3,000 megawatts within the next 10 years as it seeks rehabilitating its existing power plants to make them more efficient for sustainable generation. The company says it has only exploited about 0.9 gigawatts of the 10 gigawatts geothermal potential. In a statement, the company's acting CEO Abraham Serem singled out the construction of upcoming 305 megawatts geothermal projects, with 280 megawatts coming from Olkaria and 25 megawatts from the Wambiru geothermal power plant, which will commence immediately after getting the requisite approvals. The company has drilled more than 320 geothermal wells to depths of 3,000 meters. Meanwhile, KENGEN reaffirmed its plans to leverage on new technology to rehabilitate its oldest geothermal power plant, the 45 megawatts Olkaria 1, to give it a new life and increase its generation capacity to more than 60 megawatts. Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
Internet access in the country has been limited due to poor infrastructure and high costs of connectivity, especially in informal settlement. To counter this, Hardy Wireless Limited, through its internet branding name Connect, have made it possible for residents living in informal settlement areas of Nairobi to access affordable internet as its penetration rates and connection speed continue to improve.
First, when it began, most people were not open because they used to think internet is for the rich, they can't afford. But through our process of engaging them and having a commitment to work within this community, it has opened them to see the value of internet, and most of them have become receptive. So rather than just seeing any free internet and just jumping on it, it's good to try to understand the source of the internet, because somebody can just set up something to get your information. So that's something people need to be careful, learn who are the providers of this internet, because again, there are people who are providing internet and they are not registered by the government of Kenya.
And now in the sports world, Harry Kane scored a second half brace as Tottenham Hotspur beat Crystal Palace 4-0 in the English Premier League match played at Selhurst Stadium. In Italy, Edin Dzeko scored the only goal as Inter Milan ended Napoli's unbeaten run in Serie A.
Tottenham Hotspur bounced back from their previous home defeat to Aston Villa by beating Crystal Palace 4-0.
Is he at the other end? But here's Son!
At St Mary's, Taiwo Awoniyi's goal helped Nottingham Forest beat Southampton 1-0. At Villa Park, Aston Villa were held to a 1-1 draw by Wolves.
It's a good one as well, and here's a chance for Danny Ings as the goalkeeper slipped.
At Eland Road, West Ham United under vital point against Leeds in a 4-goal thriller. In tonight's only Premier League match, Chelsea will host Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. Away to Italy, Napoli lost their first league match of the season after they were...
Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Thank you for choosing Lunchtime News. My name is Jackie Wambiru. Sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Ukiwa dereva, usalama wa abiria uliowabeba uko mikononi mwako. Usiendeshe gari kama umechoka ama umelewa, na hakikisha unazingatia kasi iliyoidhinishwa. Usalama barabarani unaanza na wewe. Ujumbe huu unaletwa kwako na Kenya National Highways Authority. Quality Highways, Better Connections.